In North Korea, there are certain dress codes that people of all ages must follow. They are not allowed to wear blue jeans at all, as blue jeans symbolize capitalism. Women are only allowed to wear knee-length skirts or long pants, and are not allowed to wear makeup in an exaggerated way. For decades, North Korea, or the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, became the most secretive and isolated country from the outside world, so it was called the Hermit Kingdom. The government ensures that its people are completely isolated from foreign countries by having strict laws. All forms of telecommunications are controlled, and the people's behavior is also constantly monitored. The Kim family's dictatorial dynasty in North Korea has outlasted the Soviet Union, despite the country's various economic, human rights, and internal family problems. So, in this video, we will see how the people of North Korea live under the rule under the Kim dynasty. Keep watching. Kim Il-sung, 1948 to 1994. Kim Il-sung rose to fame in 1937 when he led a China-backed guerrilla attack against the Japanese Empire. Kim Il-sung once joined the Red Army in the Soviet Union and was given the responsibility of controlling the colonies of the Soviet Union in 1945. He was also known as the founder of North Korea and the Great Leader, who ruled from 1948 until his death in 1994. After the fall of the Japanese Empire and the end of the Second World War, Kim Il-sung ordered an attack on South Korea in 1950, and this also started the Korean War of 1950 to 1953. Kim Il-sung wanted to be seen as a great communist figure, like Joseph Stalin in the Soviet Union, who was considered a hero after winning the Second World War, and Mao Zedong, the leader of the Communist Party in China, who defeated the Chinese nationalists and united the country. He also wanted to be seen as one of the respected communist leaders by wanting to unify the Korean peninsula, but his ambitions were unsuccessful. Kim Il-sung also received help from the Soviet Union for decades, until the fall of the Soviet Empire, and the North Korean economy also collapsed after that. In the end, Kim Il-sung died of a heart attack on July 8, 1994 at the age of 82. Kim Jongil, 1994 to 2011. The transfer of power after the death of Kim Il-sung to his own son, Kim Jongil, is rare in a communist country. Kim Jong-il is also popular because he has an egoistic and hot-tempered attitude, so there are sources stating Kim Jong-il died at the age of 70 from a heart attack due to being too angry with the problems encountered during the construction of a hydroelectric power station. But Kim Jong-il was called as dear leader, even though during his rule, North Korea experienced an economic crisis with starving people. Kim Jong-il also made an agreement with President Bill Clinton to stop the development of nuclear weapons in 1994, but broke the agreement after a few years, in which the country then began to actively possess and test nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un, 2011 to today. Kim Jong-un still practices a dictatorial system of government, like his grandfather and father. Kim Jong-un also held prison camps for political prisoners and ordinary offenders, which was criticized by international legal practitioners. He was also linked to the assassination of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, in Kuala Lumpur in 2017. Dubbed as the Great Successor, he began to rule at the age of 27 despite having had little experience in politics and the military. Kim Jong-un continues to build nuclear weapons, despite the country facing various international economic sanctions. How the North Korean government controls its people. North Korea is a socialist country, and all property belongs to the government. Government administration is very weak with no effective tax system, with the government controlling the output of every industry, and any business activity is also strictly controlled, as it is considered to affect political influence. The North Korean government practices strict control over the people, including curbing freedom of social, religious, association, no opposition political parties, restrictions on all print and electronic media, and fully controls labor unions. The authorities would send anyone suspected of being dissident to the government to a secret prison camp where they will be treated badly. People only follow what the government dictates and do not dare to complain because of the risk of being caught. If caught, all the family members of the guilty individual, including children too, face the same fate, and 2 generations that follow must live in concentration camps for the rest of their lives. In 2018, the Korea Institute for National Unification from South Korea estimated that there were 80,000 to 120,000 prisoners in the camp. Detainees also involve foreigners such as from the US, Japan, and South Korea. People are forced to work without pay. Kim Jong-un is also the head of the workers' union, making rules by forcing his people, including children, to become a workforce to generate the country's economy. Most North Koreans will be forced to work without pay for a period of their lives. If they do not show up to work, they will be sent to a detention camp for up to 6 months. As for the children, they will be selected from their respective schools and instructed to work in the nearby farms as one of the components of the learning curriculum. It is very sad because most of these children already suffer from lack of food and are forced to work in every different weather season. North Korea is one of the 7 countries in the United Nations which does not join the International Labor Organization, ILO. North Korean people's lives follow different social classes. The North Korean government also practices social, economic, and political classification of its people, which is called songbun. This led to discrimination against the lower class in all aspects of life, such as employment, housing, medicine, and school. It is very difficult for individuals to improve their songbun class, but if there is a political offense committed by an individual or a family member, the privileges of this class will be forfeited. This is also one of the ways the government warns, so that the people always obey the leader. During the famine crisis in the 1990s, some areas of the village that were not liked were completely neglected and were not given food, causing many residents to die. Ordinary people have no advantage in the law, which is controlled by the Workers' Party of Korea, and money and rank are very important in determining whether a person can avoid punishment. For the 3 million people who live in the capital city of Pyongyang, life is seen to be better than in the hinterland. People need permission from the government to live in the city, and there are roadblocks in many areas, so one cannot move freely without permission. In this city, the use of technology such as mobile phones can be seen, even though it is an item that is beyond the means of most people. The roads are quiet because people also need permission to own their own vehicles, and people choose to ride in public vehicles. The military and the police are everywhere, and if an individual is seen wearing clothing that is too radical out of the ordinary, they will be arrested. A place to live, such as an apartment, is determined by the government for a certain period. At night, most houses will be dark as electricity is only supplied for a certain period each day. The situation outside the city is different without tall and big buildings, where only corn and rice fields can be seen. Farmers cultivate crops without the help of high-tech machinery. Their life is very basic and does not change with the passage of time. In conclusion, the people of North Korea seem to have accepted their way of life, which is determined by the leader using violence, and the heirs of the Kim dynasty maintaining power, even at the expense of their own families. Since the Second World War, no dictatorial regime has survived more than 3 generations. Analysts also view that if Kim Jong-un dies, there would still be no strong successor. Certainly, the situation in North Korea in the future will have great implications in the Asian region, with the interest of 2 major powers, namely China and the US. Thank you for watching.